I really wish more people talked about the fact that so many more people than you think are in credit card debt.
Your debt in total, $210,000. That's a mortgage.
You're starting to look at people around you and wondering how the hell they're purchasing luxury cars, going on these lavish vacations, buying luxury items like sunglasses, designer purses, things like that. It's credit cards. They're in credit card debt. Especially the kids that you went to school with and they always had the newest iPhone, the newest clothing, even drove like a luxury car. Their parents are in credit card debt. I just feel like it's not talked about enough and no one is real about it.
Any final thoughts? Any final questions?
No, I mean, thank you for taking the time to go through this. I know it's kind of aggravating, frustrating with all the paper and whatnot, a little bit of lack of clarity. I thought I was coming here with a lot of clarity, but as far as the situation, but I guess wasn't the case. But like I said, I appreciate you taking the time to sit with me.
Today we're going to talk about the big, ugly, stress-inducing thing that everybody doesn't talk about, however, most people have. Quick disclaimer though, I am not a financial advisor. I am not a professional giving professional advice. This is just me sharing some thoughts and hopefully spreading some awareness when it comes to this. So lately I've been noticing on TikTok that people have been super open about their debt. I'm talking people saying I have $80,000 in credit card debt. I have $10,000 in credit card debt. Yay, adulting. And honestly, part of me wants to give them a round of applause because it is refreshing to see. It's like that moment someone finally admits to eating the last cookie. It's now out there, so let's just deal with it. Now, don't get me wrong. Do not get my words twisted. I am not for trauma dumping. I know you're probably like, what does this have to do? But those that have watched my videos know I'm no fan of trauma dumpers, but I understand why they do the things that they dump. Anyway, there's no shame in it. Everybody's talking about it. It's just life. Okay, let's start with the juiciest part of this entire discussion. Credit card debt. If credit card debt was a person, there'd be that one friend who convinces you to buy just one more gadget, and before you know it, you have a cart full of necessities you didn't even know you needed. Credit card debt sneaks up on you faster than a toddler going for a snack stash. Trust me, those little humans, they can run. Don't ever doubt them. Now, you better not run away. I'll break it down for you. You get that shiny new card in the mail, 0% APR for the first year, they say. Yeah, and I've got a bridge to sell you. Here's what they don't tell you up front. If you miss a payment, even once, that interest rate will come crashing down on you like a pile of bricks. Just a quick example. Let's say you racked up $5,000 on your card. I'm not judging, I'm just side-eyeing you a little bit. With an interest rate of, say, 20%, which is basically the credit card company's way of laughing at your face without you knowing. You're paying about $1,000 a year just in interest if you only make the minimum payments. That's like paying rent on your debt without actually reducing it. So you're just throwing money into a pit wondering why it's not coming back. Well, you're not really helping yourself. And don't get me started on how easy it is for people to get sucked up into that trap. You see a cute little gadget online, bam, swipe. The sale from your favorite freaking store, bam, swipe. All my shopaholics, bam, swipe. It is easier to swipe without thinking, and that girl math is not gonna help you. If you cannot pay what you're charging at the end of the month, then I need you to do one thing for me. Step away from the card, all right? Or cards, because some of y'all, like I said, I'm not judging. We're here to spread awareness. I need to stop and calm down. Let's talk about interest rates for just a hot second, because this is where things get a little shady in my own opinion. Credit cards throw terms at you like APR, thinking you'll just nod along and say, sounds good. Well, APR is just a fancy way of saying we're gonna take more of your money slowly until you want to cry. It's the price you pay to borrow money. So think twice before you swipe. Bars. Now, for all my shopaholics, we're going to discuss a word that you guys hate, and some of y'all are probably allergic to it, and that is budget. I know. Don't shoot the messenger. It sounds about as fun as organizing a sock drawer, I know, but if you've got that card burning a hole in your wallet, it is time to put on your adulting pants. Nobody likes them, but we're all grown now. If you want to get out of debt, you're going to have to hold yourself accountable, and accountability is not a lot of things that adults have. It's time to be an accountant for your own financial health. If you can't afford to pay off what you're charged by the end of the month, you're broke. No, I'm kidding. It's not meant to be. That we can get away with we'll just charge it mentality or that girl math mentality I was just talking about, future you will be sending present you some very angry vibes when the bill arrives. And now to talk about the big scary B word, and it's not my name, it's bankruptcy. I've seen so many people in the comment section of the videos we're gonna watch saying, oh, I'm $40,000 in debt, and people saying it is time to file for bankruptcy. If y'all don't pipe down, that's like bringing a sledgehammer to swat a fly. What are we doing? Bankruptcy isn't just a magical reset button. It's more like a your credit card score is gonna suck for the next decade button. Now here's the part where I know a lot of people have said it because I've seen the comments in these other videos saying wealthy people file for bankruptcy all the time. And you're absolutely right. They do. The difference is though, they know how to use bankruptcy strategically. They've got teams of lawyers and financial experts planning their moves like a high stakes chess game. They file under the right chapters. Some of y'all don't even know that's a thing. That's a video for another day. They protect their assets and often come out the other side still living in mansions, driving fancy cars. It's like Monopoly, but for real life, which kind of sounds fun when you know the game. But that is why it is important to educate yourself in these things. And then for most like regular people, filing for bankruptcy is a whole different story. It sticks with you for up to 10 years on your credit card report. That's longer than some marriages last. No shade, no hate. During this time, getting approved for loans, credit cards, or even renting an apartment can be a nightmare for you. So play your cards right. Play them safely. So when should you actually consider bankruptcy if you're a normal person? If your debt is a monstrous amount that you realistically cannot budget for or make payment plans for, it might be time to talk to a professional. But until then, let's keep bankruptcy as the last resort, not the first go-to, especially if you only have 40K or even 80K. It all just depends, all right? Just keep calm in everything you do before you make the decisions. Keep calm. Y'all remember those old sayings that were like, keep calm, blah, blah, blah. Keep calm. I'll put it up here. Oh my goodness. How old am I? So now we're going to talk about credit score, aka your financial report card. Your score takes a big hit every time you rack up too much debt. I think most of us should know that already. If you miss your payments or even sneeze the wrong way. Okay, maybe not the last one, but sometimes it sure does feel like it. Credit card scores matter if you're trying to buy a car, trying to buy a house, or, you know, do anything remotely adulty. I'm kidding, but it sure does feel like it, y'all. So say you max out a card that has a $5,000 limit. Automatically, you are at 100% credit card utilization. It's like telling the world, hey, I am financially reckless. Ideally, you want to keep your freaking credit card utilization at about below 30%. That's the sweet spot that lenders like. The last thing you want to do is come off as that person that comes to the potluck with an empty stack of Tupperwares. We all know why you came here, all right? Now let's get into some skits that I was telling you guys about. This is only some. Go on TikTok. There's a whole lot more. People are really transparent with their debt, so let's check them out.
I have $40,000 in credit card debt. 40. So let's talk about it. First of all, that is a statement that I thought I would be taking to my grave. I never thought I would tell another soul. And in fact, until today, I have never told another soul about my struggles with credit card debt because this is not the beginning. If we rewind all the way back to about 19 or 20-year-old Lana, that is when my journey with credit card debt began. I was 19 years old and I was dating a man who was 31 and he did not support me or help me financially in any way. And I was trying to live his lifestyle off my minimum wage job and I was living outside my means, to be quite frank. I got myself into credit card debt. I stayed in credit card debt until I was about 21, at which point I was able to pay it off over the course of just like really cutting back and being very diligent about making as many extra payments as I could to my debt. And then I got out of it and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the most freeing thing. I'm never doing that again. And then I did. And then I paid that debt off. And you know what? I repeated the cycle again. I'm in my third cycle of credit card debt. And at this point, my threshold has just gotten so big. Your threshold for debt increases with time, right? It's just like your threshold for anything else that creates stress in your life. Over time, your body has to adapt to the current conditions. So your threshold for what it can hold expands. So right now, the number 40 probably feels staggering to some of you, but it's not a number that I feel fear around. So why am I sharing this with all of you? Well, because this debt that I've carried on and off for almost all of my 20s has cultivated so much shame for me. So much shame. I directly had my self-worth tied up into my financial picture. And so I thought that because of the fact that I had this debt, I was not worthy. I was not worthy. And as I've been doing a deep dive into my subconscious mind, just really into my psyche in general over the last couple of years, I have looked at everything very, very, very honestly. But money's been the one thing that I've been avoiding. The one thing that I've been avoiding. And over the last month, I have gotten to a place where I cannot avoid it anymore because I am in a very unique situation when it comes to my finances. And I've been doing all of this subconscious work. And as I sat in meditation yesterday, this just came up out of nowhere that I need to talk about it. I need to talk about it. So I first started by having conversations with my closest girlfriends because they didn't even know. And after I had spoken to them, I felt the shame just dissipating and leaving my body. And I thought, I'm going to share it with the world. I think I've always known that I was eventually going to share it with the world. I just wasn't feeling ready. And so I'm sharing this with you because I know that so many of us struggle with debt. I know so many of us are in debt right now, and I need you to remember that money is not moral. You are not worthy or unworthy depending on your financial situation. The more that we talk about things, the less that shame can breed, the less that shame can exist. And I'm just simply to a point where I'm done feeling shame about this. I'm done. And so if I don't feel shame about it, why not share it with you? Because if I can help one person feel less alone on their journey, it's worth it for me. And I don't really care what the comments are going to say, because if I don't feel shame about it, you can't make me feel shame about it. So moving forward, okay, now that we've got 40 grand, what's the plan? The plan is to give it to God, basically. I am in a full surrender right now with my finances, and I just trust so deeply that I had to get to this level. I had to go to these depths on my journey with money for me to fully untangle my relationship with money. Because if you go all the way back to my childhood, I felt fear and scarcity around money before I even conceptually understood what it was. So as I entered adulthood, I had subconscious beliefs that there wasn't enough money, that money equated to my worth, scarcity, lack. Like I had very, very, very deep-rooted fear patterns around money. So even though I entered adulthood and I was able to manage my own finances, and I consciously knew the right way to manage my finances. I worked in finance for 10 years. I consciously knew the right decisions to make. I would not make those because my subconscious mind was running the show, not my conscious mind. I was operating from my subconscious beliefs that there isn't enough, fear, scarcity, lack, instability. So a lot of times, even when I had money in my checking account, I would spend on a credit card, because I needed to hoard like a little squirrel every dollar that I had in my bank account, because it may never come back and there isn't enough. And what I'm learning through this process is why I repeated those patterns isn't because I have no willpower, I'm weak, I'm unintelligent, or any of those things, I'm unworthy. It's because my subconscious mind was running the show. I was allowing my limiting beliefs to run the show. And this could be applied to any other area of our life. So what I'm doing forward is changing my identity, changing my subconscious beliefs, rewiring my subconscious mind to believe that pleasure and abundance and prosperity are safe.
First and foremost, you should never equate your financial struggles with your self-worth. It's never a good combo. It is going to do nothing but just assist you in self-sabotaging. And then another point she made is that a lot of people, well, in her case, she was raised up to where money was always an issue. And a lot of people are in positions like that. So when you start getting a credit card, you don't really understand how it works. You just hear in your mind, it may not apply to her, but some people hear in their minds free money. And the thing is, you have to pay it back. So like she said with her checkings account, even though she felt like she needed to hoard the money, at the end of the day, she probably had to take from her checking accounts in order to pay off the debt that she has. And once you accumulate so much debt, 40 grand, for example, and you don't tackle the issue at hand and you don't hold yourself accountable, you find yourself tripling that amount every other month, or some people each month. So you start from 40, you end up with 80. And if you don't address the core issue, you will find yourself in a lot of credit card debt, enough to honestly probably drown you. Not literally, obviously. Well, And then another point she made is that she gave it to the Lord. Once you lay your issues to God, you have to do the work also. And then another area, touching back on what she said, is the scarcity mindset. Now, this is confusing to me because I would think, this is a question I have for y'all as well, if you guys want to answer. If you have the scarcity mindset thinking that you're going to run out and stuff, wouldn't you spend less? Or is she talking about necessities that she was spending on? Like, which one was she referring to? The video continues, so maybe she'll address it, but I'd like for you guys to explain it if you have dealt with scarcity mindset.
Not only safe, they are my birthright, that I am capable of holding it, that I'm not only capable of holding it, that it is on its way to me right here, right now, that I am an abundant human being. I am releasing the shame around money in general because money is not moral. We were not born into this life knowing what money is. Money is something we created. It didn't exist when humans first evolved. We created it. It is not moral. It is not moral. If you have more questions about kind of how this all transpired, more than happy to talk about it. I'm happy to start a conversation about this. Most of this debt, this 40 number, I've been carrying around for a little while. And I had posted a video the other day saying breaking up with my credit cards. And I said, I don't want to go down a slippery slope. And I wasn't being fully transparent, which is fair. I don't owe the internet anything. But the full transparency is I don't want to go any farther down the slope than I'm already down, right? I'm already here. And I just made this decision. Like, I had to put a vet bill on a credit card and that topped me over the 40 number. And that was my breaking point. And I was like, something has to change. And not, how can I work harder to make money to pay this off? But like, what do I need to look at within myself to prevent this from happening again? Why am I keeping myself in this cycle when I know it doesn't serve me? And I think that's where a lot of the shame comes from for me, is knowing that this wasn't what was best for me. And then I would take action anyway. And then I would avoid it. So I would avoid at all costs. Like, if I spent something with my credit card and I felt unrest in my body, avoid, suppress. When I would go to pay my credit card bills, like, just only look at the credit card statement for long enough to pay the bill and then put it out of my mind. Suppress, avoid, suppress, avoid, suppress, avoid. Self-soothe in other ways, cope in other ways. So we're done with that. We are done with that. I no longer identify as somebody that uses a credit card. I no longer identify as somebody who operates from a place of lack, scarcity, not enoughness, unworthiness, none of that. I am no longer a person that operates from a place of shame. This is my last buried treasure. And if you know my face by now, I might be new to some of you, but if you know my face by now, you know I've shared a lot with you guys on the internet. And I know that it might feel wildly inappropriate to some of you, but I so firmly know in my body, in my soul, that I came here on this planet to share my journey with you. Might not resonate for all of you. And that's okay, because the ones that are supposed to receive this message and who are feeling overwhelmed by their financial situation, I know that you're going to see this. And I'm here to tell you it's not about continuously working harder. It's about looking at your subconscious beliefs. It's about looking what's going on within you. What are your beliefs around money? What are your behavior patterns around money? What is your emotional response when you think about your financial situation? What's going on in that subconscious mind, and how can we make a change? We don't get to choose our childhoods. We don't get to choose the beliefs that form about ourselves in childhood. But when we are adults, there's self-responsibility, and it is up to us to create the change that we desire. So let's do it. Let's do it together. I have been doing a crash course this month of just deep self-concept work. Deep like rewiring my brain, self-concept, subconscious, like nervous system work. And I know without a doubt that by the end of this year, that debt will be paid. I release any worry or fear or stress about it at all. I know that I'm taken care of. I am full surrender, given this to God, because I know that this is my path. I know that this is here to teach me something. I know I had to go down this journey to learn what I needed to learn, to get the medicine that I need to continue to step forth into this person that I came here to be. So I don't feel shame, and I don't want you to feel shame either. So if sharing my story helps one person, then it's worth it for me. Debt is not moral. You aren't unworthy. And you can change your financial picture truly at any point in time if you're willing to go inward, if you're willing to dive deep. So Happy Friday, beautiful souls. 40. I have $40,000 in credit card debt. And I'm saying that publicly, so we're going to celebrate.
If you are part of the 40K debt club, no shame in the game, all right? She is here to share her story to make sure that you guys do not feel alone. Financial literacy is essential. And before some of y'all, because I know how y'all get in the comment section, says school needs to teach financial literacy. I agree, okay? I'm not fighting on that. I agree if you watch my past videos. But if schools don't do that, then that is your parents' responsibility. And if they don't do that, that is your responsibility, because at the end of the day, you are stuck with your bills. Now we're going to hop on a video of a lady sharing how her and her husband got off $30,000 of credit card debt.
So my husband and I used to have $30,000 of credit card debt, and now we are credit card debt free and have been for several years. So if you are one of the 55% of Americans that has credit card debt, this video is for you. I'm going to tell you what did work and what did not work when we were trying to pay off our credit card debt. So first of all, what did not work? Number one, continuing to use our credit cards while we're trying to pay them off. I thought, well, you know, whatever new charges I put on there, I'll just pay those off with our normal like monthly budget. I won't overspend. And then on top of that, we'll make extra payments to pay down that principal balance that we were carrying. And that just never worked. Like, it was way too hard to keep track of. I continued my same overspending habits and just, it didn't work. So putting away the credit cards while we were paying them off was one of the best things that we did, because continuing to use them while we were trying to pay them off, it just didn't work. The second thing we did that didn't work was a balance transfer to a new credit card. So we thought, okay, we're paying 20% interest on this credit card. If we just transfer the balance to a new credit card that has 0% interest, that'll help us pay it off faster. And all that did was free up more room on our existing credit cards. Remember, we were still spending on them at the time, and we just spent them back up again. So it was basically just like opening a new credit card or increasing our line of credit. So until we were like, okay, we're not spending on credit cards anymore, we're completely putting them away, like that, nothing really changed until we did that. Things that did work for us. Once we decided to put the credit cards away, we did do a consolidation loan. We took out a personal loan. The interest rate, I think, was like 12%. So much lower, about half of what we were paying on our credit cards. Still pretty high interest, but much lower than it was on the credit cards. And we put all of our credit card debt, use that loan to pay off all of our credit cards, and then put the credit cards away.
I don't mean to disturb her. I just want to come out here and say that it's not advice. She's just sharing her experiences. So please do not get it twisted, because what works for her may not work for you, especially when it comes to consolidating personal loans to consolidate your credit card. It does not work. I've seen it not work for a lot of people. So it just depends.
And we were able to pay off that consolidation loan much faster than the term. I think we got like a 10-year term. We paid it off in like 2 years or something, because we were so focused on paying off our debt at that point. But that was something that did work, because we were paying on a consolidation loan versus like having to even open a credit card statement or have credit cards in our mind at all. And just mentally, it worked for us to do it that way. I can't explain exactly why, but it worked. So that's one thing we did. The other thing we did is we tracked everything. We tracked our income, we tracked our spending in a budget, we tracked our debt payoff, we tracked it all, and every single dollar. And that was part of like a huge turning point for us, is when we got a good budgeting system in place. So hope that helps if you have credit card debt. Credit card debt is seriously should be treated like an emergency, because it is so expensive. Like, I didn't even realize until after the fact, after I got out of credit card debt, how expensive the interest rates on credit cards are and how much you are paying for those charges. It is such an emergency, especially with interest rates right now. So hope that helps you get out of some credit card debt. If you are in it, you're not alone. We had 30,000, like I said, and got out of it. Now we use credit cards responsibly. We pay them off every month. We get the points and the rewards and everything. And, but we didn't do that until we had been credit card debt free for quite a while. So,
well, once again, financial literacy is essential. Just learn the books, learn the game, learn everything before you spend that money. If that money cannot be paid off at the end of the month, whatever you are getting is not a need. It most likely is a want. So spend intelligently, spend with caution.
Hey y'all, so let's talk debt, specifically credit card debt. I am $30,000 in credit card debt. Yeah, I know. Let's talk about it. So I have two credit cards. I have a Navy Federal and then another credit card. Navy Federal has $25,000 and the other one has $5,000. And I'm definitely ready to pay those off. So if anybody has any suggestions about how I can quickly pay those off, let me know in the comments. So I recently joined TikTok Shop and the Creator Fund. So I'm hoping to reel in some money from that as well. And whatever I make from that, I'm going to put towards the credit cards expeditiously. I racked up all of this debt from shopping, not telling myself no, not having discipline, all that horrible stuff. Baby, when I tell you, if I saw something on the website, because I'm an online shopper. If I saw something on the website that I wanted, or my kids wanted, or that I wanted for them, or what I thought my husband would like, but we're stopping bad habits and we're getting out of credit card debt. So follow along on this journey with me paying off my debt.
For all my shopaholics, y'all are utilizing 100% of your credit card, and it is definitely biting y'all in the butt. And if you're wondering why I'm not talking about student loans in this video, because that's a video for another time. Student loans and credit card debts, in my opinion, are two separate things and need to be dealt with separately. If you are interested in me talking about student loans, then let me know, but I'm not talking about them here in this video.
Guys, it is officially payday again, and you know what that means. We're gonna pay off more debt. Just to recap, we are currently at $32,853 in debt. This payday is really exciting because I received 3 different deposits into my bank account, so let's get into it. My first paycheck was from my 9-to-5. I received $956.24. And second, I received my deposit from the TikTok Creativity Fund, which is just so exciting. Thank you guys, which was $931. And I put 30% in savings, which was about $280. So that left me with $651. And because my husband's in the military, he is living overseas and I am living in the United States, I also get housing allowance from the government. So I get paid from the government at the beginning of the month and the middle of the month. And I got paid $1,236. This one I get to keep, and then at the beginning of the month, majority of that goes to my parents as like rent. Total, after I took out the 30% for TikTok, it was $2,843 of income that I got. So today's payoff is really exciting. I calculated my bills for between now and next Friday, which is when I get my weekly paycheck from my 9-to-5, and it's about $200, a little under, so we're rounding up to $200. I'm going to keep a minimum of $800 in my account. Normally I do $500, but I'm doing $800 because I'm actually going to be shopping for some hiking gear for some upcoming trips. So total in my account is going to be $1,000. Subtracting that from what I got paid means we are putting $1,843 to debt. And keep in mind, this is my very last credit card. Over the last couple of months, we've paid off my 2 other ones. So this card, the balance was $2,257. After paying off the $1,843, the new balance is $414. And I will definitely be paying that off by April, which is nuts. And then I will be completely credit card debt free, baby. Again, I feel like it's so important for me to do disclaimers. I know my situation is not applicable to everyone. I hope me sharing my debt payoff journey still inspires you in some way. I know I'm very fortunate to, be at home with my parents. Yes, I'm paying them rent, but essentially the government is paying it. It's not coming out of the money I make with my 9-to-5. So I understand how lucky I am in that. I have very minimal bills and pretty much all of my income is just going straight to paying off my debt. So I know I'm very lucky in that, and I'm very grateful for my situation. And I know, again, that doesn't apply to everybody, but I hope that you can take something from these videos.
Well, she broke it down how it works for her. And so you can take everything that she said and try to apply it in your life if you want to, and just make it work. It just sucks. Whether you live with your parents or not, the amount that you get, and then you automatically have to just pay off debt, even though that's a debt that you had accumulated. I don't know. It's just, I do not like debt. Thank God I do not have debt. But financial literacy, once again, I'm just going to keep saying that word. Maybe that should be my name for this video. Call me financial literacy. I don't know. That lady reminded me when she talked about taxes about the other lady we had watched that said she had a TikTok shop. If you have a TikTok shop, please make sure that you add it to taxes. You have to pay for your taxes. That isn't just free money, because I've seen a lot of those videos. Maybe I should make a video of people thinking that the TikTok shop making a lot of money in there and not paying taxes for it is going to nip you in your bottom. Okay? You do not want to deal with that. Trust me, you do not want to deal with that. Anyways, let's move on to someone else.
I think it's finally time that I tell you guys exactly how much debt I'm in. This is probably my most asked question, and I have been avoiding it for about 2 months now, I think for pretty obvious reasons. But I have been asked it so much, and I finally was just like, why the hell am I hiding it? Like, what does it matter? Oh well. So here we are. So this number does not include our actual mortgage or my car. My husband's car we recently paid off, and my car, by the time we have all of our credit cards and everything paid down, my car will then be paid off. So this does not include those two things, but the majority of it is credit card debt and then also a small personal loan, and total that we're trying to pay off is about $45,000. Now you're probably like, how the hell are you in $45,000 worth of debt? And I wish I could tell you exactly, but we had a lot of medical stuff that we had to put on the credit cards. And then we also had a ton of my kids' therapies. So my daughter was in feeding therapy 4 times a week for just over 9 months. And then my son was also in speech therapy. And insurance does cover the first 20 visits of his speech therapy for the year, but he eats through that pretty quick. So then after that, we were covering it with credit card. And we have now completely stopped using credit cards. We're in the process of paying it down, but it is a very slow process. We've already paid down about $6,000 of it since I started this like 2.5 months ago, 2 months ago, something like that. But I'm using the money that I earn from TikTok and from sharing this journey to put as extra money towards the debt. So it's going faster than it would be otherwise, but that is how much. I'm curious to know if it's lower or higher than you expected, because there's been a lot of people who have told me like in their comment how much debt they have, and some is like way higher than that, and then some they like think they're in a ton of debt and they only have like $1,000 worth of debt. So I'm curious to see what you guys think, but now it's all laid out there.
All right, so the first point I want to make is the whole medical bills debt. All right, give yourself grace, considering that you're taking care of your family, you're taking care of your kids. Granted, it's still debt and you have to pay it off, but I'm glad that you're working towards it and you're cutting down faster than you thought you would. But please just take the time to give yourself grace as a mama bear, all right? And tell Papa Bear to give himself grace too. Secondly is $45,000. Is that a lot of debt? So any debt is a lot of debt. If someone who has $45,000 just sitting there in the bank, that's a lot of money. So I would say having negative of that is a lot, but you just have to work on it and pay it off as fast as you can. And in your situation, honestly, if anything, because it's medical and you can never predict that, especially if your kid is going through something, if there is an interest, a passion of yours that you've always wanted to pursue, that you know you have customer service skills in and you will be professional in it, I would even say just go ahead and try to do a side hustle. Just look into that would be my advice, because you don't want to overwork yourself. But if you have a side hustle that you're passionate about and you love, it will be nice to know that, oh, that side hustle that I do just goes to my kids' medical bills that they had accumulated. But I saved the best for last, so let's check it out.
I had just ended a very serious relationship. I was $10,000 in debt, no job, no money, and in my mid-20s had to swallow my ego and go back to live with an abusive relative. And I even had these kind of thoughts, if you know what I'm talking about. But this piece of advice that I'm about to share with you completely changed my life. When we're in a situation like that, we tend to not be able to even fathom anything getting better. It can get so dark that the only solution we're able to see is this one. A mentor of mine told me, Joao, imagine you're a time traveler and you go back to 1930. You pick somebody from 1930 and you try to explain to them the concept of an iPhone. Explain to them that in the future you're going to grab a little device and be able to talk to somebody face to face in real time halfway across the world. Based on all the knowledge that person has of their life, how do you think they're going to react to that? They're going to be like, that's impossible. I can't even fathom something like that. But that's the moral of the story. Everything seems impossible until it isn't. When I was in my dark times, I could not even fathom a reality where I could afford my own place. I could not fathom the reality of having a nicer car. I could not fathom the reality of having a lot of followers and being able to have this communication, because I was using my current situation and everything that happened to me in the past, and I was using that information to map out a prediction of the future. But just like that person from 1930 trying to imagine what an iPhone, what FaceTime is, what Wi-Fi is, it's not impossible, you just haven't caught up to it yet.
All in all, debt sucks. It's the nosy neighbor of your finances, always getting in the way, even though you're the one that created it, but we're not going to talk about that right now. But you're not powerless. With some planning, discipline, and a little self-roasting to keep things light, you can claw your way out.